It's funny. I was talking to my girlfriend's kid about this the other day. That all of the negative things in my life have made me a stronger, tougher, self-managed person, and it's the personality. But I remember being a little kid, like 8 years old, 9 years old, and when I'm older, when I'm a parent, not if, but I was like, I knew I was going to be a parent. When I'm a parent, when I'm older, I'm gonna not move around every year. I'm gonna make sure I'm there for my kids. I'm gonna be involved in their activities. But more importantly, I'm also going to help them learn how to be self-sustaining people, because you, at the end of the day, you have only you, right? You're only responsible for yourself, accountable to yourself at the true core of it, I believe. But there's, if you surround yourself with people that you love and that you care about, and you give your love to them, and they in turn give it back, which is great. Um, but that's like a contract of, you have an ownership, a responsibility to these people now because you've given it to them. You could walk away at any time, as my father did. And again, I don't know the circumstances. Maybe she was a one night stand. I don't really know. It's not actually any of my business. But like, there's a responsibility once you give it. Once you say, I'm going to do this, then you have to do it. You know, being a person of your word is pretty important, in my opinion. And I want my kids to be that way because I have a three rule for my kids. I'm like, you need to be polite, you need to be not an asshole, and try as much as you can to give something back to the world. I don't care what it is, just try and do something. Because, I mean, why else are we here? Entertainment? I don't know. That's the only other reason that I can think of, if you're not religious, that you can, that you're here on the planet in the first place, is to entertain yourself, right? You know, I want to have something more than just entertain myself. I do entertain myself, but my forms of entertainment are, I don't know, they're a little bit in my head. You know, I like thinking in different ways, unusual ways. I enjoy that whole aspect of thinking in unusual ways, and I foster that in my
What
kids.
kind of unusual ways are we going
You know,
here?
finger in the bum, that kind of stuff. No, I just I like to approach things from different perspectives. You know, the non-standard perspective, almost like put myself out of body and look at it from a different angle, even if it's not something that makes me comfortable. I like to, like, just look at things in different ways because, in my opinion, ideas come from either my own ability to look at things from different ways, or, as we talked earlier off air, the ability to take other people's perspectives and hear them and respect them. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to agree with them. You can be vehemently opposed to them, but hear and respect those people, because I'm not you. You're not me. Nobody here owns anybody.
Or mushrooms.
Or mushrooms.
Yeah,
Mushrooms
mushrooms would be the
also would
other.
be a thing. I
Yeah.
definitely have
So,
not gone down the road of mushrooms. It's a one day. It's a bucket list. Probably with my oldest son Logan, who wants to do mushrooms.
So you're one of my favorite dads. You know, I started by saying that. So what's
Appreciate that.
fascinating to me is how you've become that guy without directly learning from that guy, right? Like, I think most of the people that excel at something have had some kind of mentor. So do you
My
have
mom was my
anybody like
dad.
that? Your mom. Tell me about that.
So I remember talking to you about something along these lines some time back, about this podcast, about the genesis of it all. And you asked me about my dad. And I'm like, I don't know that you want to hear about my dad. And, you know, he had this thing and he had that thing. You remember I listed off
Mhm.
a few. I mentioned the killing his best friend situation. There were some other things that are less palatable for on air that I want to leave out. But at the time, even then, I thought my mom was my dad. She was everything. Okay, I'm not putting her on a pedestal. She was not the perfect mom. How could she be? Who among us are the perfect parent? It's not possible. Two parents together can't be perfect parents. It's impossible. Two parents with aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters and helpers all the way around. It's not possible to be the perfect whatever
And does
parent.
that perfect picture of a parent ever raise the right kid?
No,
No.
because they're still individuals and they still make their own
For
choices
sure.
and they still take their own risks. They make their own mistakes. They fuck up things, like, and you want them to, because you want them to grow and you want them to be tough. You want to, like, give them opportunity to fail without total and complete utter failure, right? That's the bubble parent is trying to. Yeah, it's not good for them, in my opinion. These are all just opinions. It's not good for them to be 100% safe and get everything just given to them, because they're never going to know how to go and get it themselves. And I think
Helicopter
a lot of
parents.
our kids,
Nobody likes a helicopter parent.
like, well, even the next level outside of that, like, I mean, I think a lot of parents generally feel like their kids are not tough enough, they're not strong enough, they haven't been through enough tough times. Well, it's about to happen for them. They're
Mm.
like, my kids are gonna come out of university and be like, what the fuck do I do now? Where do I go work? How do I get a job? How do I pay for myself? Can I afford to live somewhere? I can't. So I'm very fearful for our kids the next bunch of
We're
years.
in our
But
40s and we're still trying to figure that out.
I don't know.
I'm gonna live at Carter's house next week.
I don't know. Maybe that's why we're doing the podcast. Maybe now the difference is we got some friends and we got some time.
Like,
so
wait
we're
till
trying
these
to
guys with
figure it out.
that own this basement figure out that we're down here.
And if you guys could talk quieter, that would be great.
Well, I did come in through the side
Yeah.
window, like you said.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
closed it.
Yeah, yeah.
In the dark. I was here at 3 a.m, so that no one would know I came in. But my mom was my dad. She had to do everything. There was a time when she got for me what's it called? I think it was in Kitchener and Big Brothers. So I had a big brother for a few years. I was my big brother's wingman, pretty sure. He would pick me up. We'd go down to Binghamton Park, go roller skating. He would give me $5 for video games and snacks or whatever. And $5 in, like, I don't know, how old was I? Young.
That was like 5 hours of video
1980.
games.
That's a lot of quarters. And then I would see him off there picking up chicks. Good for him. And I don't begrudge him, right? He took me out, spent a couple hours with me. We would talk.
She showed you the ropes.
Showed me how to pick up chicks. It didn't help me anyway. This dude lived in a houseboat too. It was unbelievable, this guy's life. I mean, was he doing anything wrong? I don't think so. He got a kid when he wanted. He could borrow it, put it back, right? Go meet some chicks. I assume he scored. I don't really
Wonder
know.
where this guy is now in life.
I don't even remember his name. But
Hold on, is this his basement?
you kids shut up down there. Yeah. So, but my mom did everything. She worked 12, 16 hours a day, some of it under the table. So she'd do one job and then she'd go do another job for cash. She'd get home at 11 o'clock at night. Me and my sisters we knew she was coming. So we'd scramble our kids out of the house, all the friends that were there watching whatever in the basement that weren't supposed to be there. One of them was locked up in the attic for like an hour because my mom came home a little bit early and we were all a little surprised and for whatever reason decided to stay in the attic. But yeah, my mom kind of did everything, but she didn't have the time to do everything. So I don't know. I think because I had 3 older sisters as well, by that time I just had to. Like I was 8 years old and I came home from school. I walked home from school for lunch and I made myself some macaroni and cheese. I forgot to drain the water, so it was macaroni and cheese soup, and it was disgusting. But I learned real quick, right? Next time, drain the fucking water, and then you're gonna have still disgusting macaroni and cheese, but at least I can eat it, right? And I remember putting iceberg lettuce on my bologna sandwich with mustard and margarine with white bread because I thought, well, that's some vegetable. And I was 8, right? I learned young, had to. Our kids don't have those things. I don't want that for my kids. But my kids know how to cook. Maybe 2 or 3 meals each they can make. Fuck it. Now they can figure it out the rest themselves when they get older.